Hi, everyone. I'm Christopher Thornycroft with Redwood Logistics, and welcome to the Redwood Rundown for the week of September 9th, 2024. Before we get started on the freight market, how many of you took my advice and bet on Sabalenka? Ooh, good moves. Good moves. 6 for 6, last 6 tennis majors. So we'll talk to you in January when it's time for the Australian Open. Until then, we're taking a little bit of a break because it's Bears season. We're rooting for the Bears. We're 1-0. Don't tell me about statistics. There were only 4 quarterbacks that threw for over 200 yards last week, so who cares? More stats. Let's just talk about freight market. We're still in oversupply. Matter of fact, we're in oversupply across the board. You guys want to know how far into oversupply we are? Well, we're sitting at 542,600 long distance truckload drivers. That's about 17,000 more drivers than we had in the same month of 2019. We have 346,000 carrier authorities. That's about 93,000 more carrier authorities that we had in September of 2019. There are 636,000 interstate private fleet tractors on the road. That's about 67,000 more than there were in September of 2019. And yeah, there's about 25,000 brokers out there in the United States, which is about 4,000 more than where there were in 2019. Any way you look, we got oversupply. It continues to be true, especially against what we're looking at with this demand, which is a weak demand environment that's being propped up by imports. How far that lasts, we don't know. What we do know by watching IOTI is that that looks still strong for the next 15 to 28 days. And not just strong, like really strong. So that's helping paper over a lot of that. But you're not necessarily getting that move from the port to the DC, over to the store, to the consumer. You're not getting all legs of the stool. Right now, we're only getting one leg of the stool. There's a chance that changes in Q4. There's also a chance that there's a pretty decent shift of freight that comes back into the over-the-road segment because, again, we're looking at intermodal and rail shipments. Those are up about 9% year over year. And that, when we get to Q4, that's when you start to see some of the more conversion because that freight has less of a lead time. So potentially a lift coming on in, but until then, we are looking pretty weak. If you're worried about an East Coast port strike, I think we talked about this last week, but we really don't think that you're looking at an East Coast port strike that has a significant magnitude ahead of it. It's an election year. Democrats want to get this resolved. They're not going to have a politically damaging strike occur. Yes, they have to toe the line because they want to be labor friendly, but it seems like a strike of any magnitude would be like less than 24 hours. That would be the guess. So not necessarily seeing the volatility there. We are becoming all amateur weather people. We do have a hurricane that landed, downgraded from a Category 2 to Category 1. There are more storms being formed in the Atlantic. If we're looking at any type of demand change, it's likely more of an act of God change than anything else at this point in time. There are still some triggers out there with the upcoming resolution of the election. There is still a trigger that's coming out there with rate cuts, to interest rate cuts that would be coming on forward. But again, those have a little bit more of a downstream impact. So for right now, hey, here's some reality. We've given up almost all the gains that we've made in the spot market since the road check holiday. About 4 cents of those have been given on up, and rates are going to continue to trend on down, at least until we get to the end of the quarter when a little bit of pressure arrives. But for right now, tough to see an environment that causes anything other than downward pressure. That's all we've got for this week. Take care. Go Bears. Talk to you soon. Adios.